The next game is this one, Oil Panic. This was the first game in the multi-screen series. And yes, we're gonna continue a little bit more with my Game & Watch games. And yeah, this was released in 1982 and it's also an LCD game, actually like all the Game & Watch games that were released by Nintendo. And this is a box let's say this is a version that was actually released by Nintendo and wasn't released by another distributing company. So let's just take a quick look at the box. And I also wanted to show you what was all included when the games were released, because this is one of two games that I have that is complete and yeah, in mint condition. So the games also came already with two batteries, so in the end if you bought one you could immediately play the game. Then there's of course the Game & Watch. Then it also came with a couple of manuals. This one, I guess this one is the French manual. Then here we have the English manual, or the manual in the English language. And it also came, at least this one that I have, with another manual, and I'm not sure, but I guess this is a manual for the Netherlands, because yeah, I can't really read it, but anyways, this was also included in this one. And then you had some caution cards, for instance, that you should not open the Game & Watch and you should be careful with the Game & Watch. And also, yeah, what can you do if you swallowed the batteries? Call a doctor immediately. And yeah, some things that you should not do with those games or with the batteries or anything. And the Game & Watch games also came with those stickers, and the stickers in the end you can or you could place them on the battery cover, so in the end that you don't lose the battery cover. Okay, and then the handheld, or the Game & Watch. Like I said, this is actually in mint condition, so it looks like the very first day, very shiny. And of course, also this game needs the two LR44 batteries. And a little update about the batteries, because yeah, it's been a week has gone by since I've recorded the last part of this little mini series or of this video, and I was curious also because I've noticed that, for instance, this Game & Watch mentions on the back that you need the LR44 or SR44 batteries, and the older Game & Watch games, the Silver series, the Gold series, and part of the widescreen series, at least the widescreen games until the year 1982, they mention on the back that those games need the LR43 or the SR43. And yeah, I've checked a little bit the internet, and what I found out was that the LR43 and 44 and also the SR43 and 44, they are still available, so they didn't stop producing any of those batteries. So the basic difference between the LR and SR43 and the LR and SR44 is, number one, the size. This is an LR44, and the LR43 or the SR43 are a little bit smaller in terms of the height, and the difference is about 0.8 millimeters, so it's not very much. But I've read somewhere that if you would use an LR or SR43 on one of those, for instance, then it can happen that you would have some, or it can occur that you would have some contact problems with the batteries because they are not the same height as the LR or SR44. And the difference between the LR batteries and the SR batteries is the voltage, because the LR 43 and 44 have 1.5 volts and the SR 43 and 44 have 1.55 volts. The difference is not very big or anything, and to the game, let's say the Game & Watch games or anything, it doesn't really matter. But some people say that the SR batteries will last a little bit longer because of the 0.05 volts. But I can't really tell you if this is true or not, and I also can't tell you how much the improvement would be if you would use the SR batteries compared to the LR batteries. Okay, but anyways, just a quick look in, at the Game & Watch. The multi-screen, and yes, the multi-screen, the design of the multi-screen was actually used also for the Nintendo DS handheld video game system. And yeah, the multi-screen series has two screens, one at the top, one at the bottom. Then the controls of this game has we have over here the button to walk to the left and the button to walk to the right. You also have game A, game B time. You can set the time and you can also set the alarm. And let's just put in some batteries and I can explain the game. In this game you play this little guy on the top screen, and yeah, you have to collect or catch oil drops that come from this pipe, because the pipe has 3 leaks, and you have to catch them before they reach the ground, because on the ground there is some stuff that would set fire to the place, and you don't want a fire at a gas station. So in the end, yeah, you have to collect those oil drops with a bucket, and you can collect a maximum of 3 drops at one time. If you already have 3 drops of oil in your bucket, then yeah, you would also lose a life. And after the bucket is full, you have to empty the bucket into an oil drum that this little guy is carrying around, and he walks from the left to the right. And you also have to make sure that you don't miss the guy with the bucket, because then you would throw down the oil at your customers, and then you would also lose a life. But it's actually pretty interesting, because in this game you actually would have a maximum of 4 lives in the end, because if you drop the oil on one of your customers, you lose a life on the bottom screen, and if you miss one of the oil drops, then you lose a life on the top screen. So in the end, 3 lives on the top screen, or 2 lives actually, and the same thing on the bottom. Okay, but now let's show you a little bit of gameplay, and I'm gonna start with game B. And of course, the longer you play, the harder the game becomes, because it's getting faster and faster, the drops. And there I missed 1 drop. Okay, now I put something on the customer. Actually a pretty cool game. I also enjoy this one much. And again, throw it on the customer. Okay, this was Oil Panic. Next game is also Game & Watch multi-screen. This was the second game that was released of the multi-screen series. Donkey Kong, released in 1982. Also again an LCD game, and this is also this version that I have was also released by Nintendo and not by other distributing company. And yeah, one thing that is different on this box is that on the back now you had advertisements for other Game & Watch games of the multi-screen series, because Oil Panic, at least the version that I have, didn't had the advertisements on the back. Also other series had advertisements on the back. For instance, the widescreen series also had some advertisements of the other widescreen games on the back. And this is the handheld, a handheld game, and of course it also uses the LR44 or SR44 or LR or SR43. What's very interesting about this game, or what is special about this game, is that it was the very first that had a D-pad. And Gunpei Yokoi is also known as the creator of the D-pads. And like I said, this was the very first electronic handheld game that ever had a D-pad, and the very first game actually where they used the D-pad for controls. And after that, of course, the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, the controller also had a D-pad, and from there on almost every controller had a D-pad, except of course joysticks or anything, but they still use them today. Even the Wii U controller has a D-pad, and also the PlayStation controllers have D-pads, and also the Microsoft Xbox controllers have a D-pad. And yeah, the controls of the game, like I said, on the left side here you have the D-pad, then you have a jump button, also you have a game A, game B, time button, then you can set the time, can set an alarm. And in the end, this was a very popular handheld game. It sold very successfully, and you have to make it from the bottom with Mario to the top, and in the end activate a crane, and with the crane you can jump on the crane and remove one of those hooks or locks or whatever. And after you removed all the 4 locks or hooks, then the platform where Donkey Kong stands on and throws oil drums at you will fall down, and you win the girl. Okay, so let's start game B and show you a little bit of gameplay. Activate the crane. In the right moment, jump. Then you have to activate the crane again. And one lock. Unlocked. Or one hook. You also have to avoid to jump on one of those iron beams, or iron beams, I guess you could call them. Jump. Second one. Crane. Can we make it? Green. And yes, I saved the girl. It's also a pretty cool game. I also really enjoyed this one. Okay, this was Donkey Kong multi-screen. The next game is this one, Mickey and Donald, and This version was distributed by the German company Bienengräber. They released those games in Germany and also by us in Austria. And the Game & Watch series of Bienengräber was called Trickotronic in Germany and also by us in Austria. And some games were called Super Trickotronic. And as you can see, they didn't redesign the box or anything, they just used a big sticker and placed it on the top. But earlier games, like for instance the widescreen series, in those cases they actually redesigned the boxes, but they didn't print it, their logo or anything on the handheld or anything. They just redesigned the boxes, placed the name on the boxes, and sometimes renamed the games, but in the end, yeah, they didn't touch the actual Game & Watch game or anything. And also it still says on the side Game & Watch. It's a multi-screen game and it was made by Nintendo in 1982, and of course this is also an LCD game, and also in this case on the back you don't have any advertisements for other multi-screen Game & Watch games. But what's also very interesting is that this one has a number printed on the inside of the flaps. And what I've read online is that some people say this means that this is at least the box is from the very first release of this game. Some people say only the second release of those games have this number, and some say the first and the second release of those games have the number inside of the flaps, because this one, for instance, doesn't have a number inside, so this means this is either the third or the fourth or maybe even the fifth release of the game. But yeah, this makes it a little more rare, let's say it like that, especially if you also have the Game & Watch game with the same serial number, because normally yeah, you would get the game with the same box. But in my case, my Game & Watch game doesn't have the exact same number. It's close, but it's, yeah, not it's sadly not the same or the original Game & Watch that came with this box. Okay, but now to the game. For the controls, on the left side you have the controls for Mickey, up and down, and on the right side you have the controls for Donald. Donald's on the top of the building is on fire, and yeah, you have to extinguish the fire. And Mickey is on the bottom screen and on the top screen. And Goofy is inside the fire truck. Goofy controls the pump for the water goes up the hose, and yeah, in the end, if the water is flowing, then you can extinguish the fire with Donald on the top. But with Mickey, sometimes, because the hose also has two places where the water can leak, and if the water starts leaking, then you have to walk up the ladder with Mickey to stop the leak and continue with the water flow. And in the end, you also have to be on the bottom of the screen and support Goofy, or yeah, push Goofy to control the pump faster than normally, because he's very slow if Mickey's not right next to him and pushes him. Okay, let's start the game. It's actually a pretty cool one, a fun one. I really like the design of this one, but it's a very hard game actually, especially when the game starts to if you have more leaks over and over and the fire is coming, yeah, it's climbing up the building, and in the end, if the fire reaches the top, then you lose a life. Okay, but let's start it. I start with game B, which is actually, yeah, a pretty hard start right from the beginning, but let's start it. And we extinguish the fire. And the building is safe. Okay, round 2. I thought there was a leakage. There's a leakage. Another leakage. Come on, Goofy. Again, leakage. Gets really intense with time. Ah, he's too slow. And there, I lost the life. I think it's a very cute one, actually. Very cute Game and Watch. I was too slow. Yeah. And again lost another life. So, as I said, it's a pretty hard game, but it's a fun game. I think it's a pretty cool Game and Watch handheld game. Okay, but now let's continue with the next one. The next game is Mario's Bombs Away. This is one of the games of the Panorama Screen series. This was released in 1983, and it's of course also an LCD game, and it also uses the same batteries like before, the LR44 or 43. And what's really cool about those games, or interesting, is that the LCD screen is inside here, and in this white box the light goes through this white box through the LCD screen, and then it gets reflected off this mirror. And yeah, this is the way you see the display / play the game, and they use the same technique with the tabletop games from the Nintendo Game & Watch series. Pretty interesting, and yeah, it looks really cool. Now to the controls, you have here left and right, and an up and down button. Of course, you also have game A, game B, time. You can set the time and the alarm. But it's kind of weird because this time Mario is a soldier, and you have to carry a bomb from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, where one of your army buddies will take the bomb and throw the bomb on the top of those trees, and in the trees are enemy soldiers who will try to light up the bomb before you reach your body. And also there's a guy on the bottom, and down at the bottom there's some spilled oil, and this one throws away a cigarette or a cigar or whatever, and then he will light up the bottom or the oil. And in the end you can with up and down, Mario will hold the bomb above his head or below his head, so you can avoid the enemy fire, because if one of the enemy soldiers manages to light up the bomb, Mario will run to the left side and he will blow up the ammunition bunker or whatever this is. So it's kind of weird that Mario is a soldier in this game, but it's also a pretty fun one. And it's also pretty hard, because you have to get 5 bombs to this guy, and after he has thrown all the 5 bombs on the top of the trees, then you have won one round, because they will blow up the enemy soldiers. But yeah, let's try our best. What's also hard is that in the end you also have to wait until your body reaches for the bomb, because now I'm standing right next to him and he's not reaching for the bomb. Okay, 2 more to go. Take it. Okay, it looks very promising. Take it, take it, take it! Yeah, I managed it. Okay, round number 2. Okay, now I show you what happens. It's a really cool game. Okay, now to the next game. Now, the next game is Popeye. This is also one of the games of the Panorama Screen series, also released in 1983, and it also uses the LR43 or 44 batteries. And yeah, also you have the controls left and right and a punch button, and in the end you have to defeat Pluto, because yeah, he tries to throw you off this platform, and you also have to try to push him from the platform and save Olivia. And in game B you also have this swordfish on the bottom that tries, yeah, to peek you, let's call it like that. And it's also a pretty cool game, and yeah, let's start it up. And you have to hit Pluto a couple of times so that he will move backwards. And the further you get in the game, the often you have to punch him to move back, and in the end Pluto only has to punch you once, that you move one spot backwards. Ah! Nah! Ha! And once more, and I have won the round. Ha! And I saved Olivia. This is also a pretty cool one. Okay, but now we continue with some other games, and yeah, this was the last Game & Watch that I wanted to show you.